So, turn 4, and things are progressing nicely. Not much has changed to the original plan, so we are just going to go through the basic routines again. First off, check if anything's disrupted. They need to be moved out the line. We've got hang on. We've got an infantry battalion down here that got disrupted, so he'll need to go and be replaced by something else. Other than that, it looks like everything's going to according to plan. In the north, we've got a complete breach of the initial crust, plus we've got two armored brigades ready to move in to exploit. The south has stalled a bit. We've cleared the minefields and are ready to assault, but the defenders are still hale and hearty. So we will probably have to use the age-old Russian tactic of simply throwing men at the problem and see what happens. But we'll see. So in the north, same procedure as always. Figure out what are the most important targets for our off-board artillery and aircraft. These guys have rallied from their disruption, which means they will have to go there uphill, and they are right smack dab in the path of advance to the victory point. So they will have to go. This is priority number one in the north. These guys, we're not going to bother with using artillery on them. They're already disrupted. Plus, they've got the better part of Guards armored brigade looking at them. The AI has moved the AT guns from their supporting position to the next X. And this is just the AI being its usual derpy self. There's absolutely no reason for it. He has sacrificed the defensive value of the entrenchments. Plus, he no longer has the support of the infantry units, so they are just about ready to die. But it's just the AI being the AI. So, artillery first. And let's see. These guys will have to get hammered. They can't see anything but this thing. Okay, so I have to waste it on them. Moving further south. We are still trying to get a disruption. Hey, finally. Last battery. What you're seeing is the reinforcements, the two artillery reinforcements that we received on turn 2. Some of them have finished their setup and are ready to fire. We still got this guy who is still trying to figure out how to park his truck and set up his rockets. And over here we've got one battery ready that has fired, and two others that are still trying to set up. But these guys are still not disrupted, so let's throw some aircraft at them. Finally. And down here, these are disrupted, these are not. Nope. Okay, fair enough. Let's see, where do we start? We'll start in the south this time. I think this is the simplest of the two. So these are already ready to be assaulted. But we still need at least 2 battalions to get in there. Oh, and these guys are disrupted, so they get pulled out. And there you go. Second one is these guys. Let's see. Oh yeah, one other thing. Now that we are through the initial crust, you might be looking at your engineers and thinking, well, we should send them over to the other minefields to clear them. And you could, but why would you want to? We've already established that we're not going to attack any of these sectors which has minefields in them, in front of them. So you don't get any points for clearing minefields. And if you look at the engineers, see they have a soft attack of 6 and assault of 11, which is actually better than the 4 and 9 of the standard infantry battalions. That they are better used as shock troops. So just because you have minefields still on the map, don't just send your engineers out there to to sort them out for no gain. I mean, you don't gain anything from it. So just leave them, and we'll take and we'll just go through the caps that we already have and simply bypass the rest. Down here, let's see if we can get lucky and break them into direct fire. Doesn't look like it. And he disrupted. Of course he did. So let's pull him out and send the next guy in. And fuck all. Okay. Nope. Okay, guess we'll have to wait another turn for those. In the meantime, second line moves up. These guys were disrupted. I would like to find what I'm looking for is a hex as close as possible to the disrupted unit that isn't in line of sight of the enemy. And then we can move our headquarters up there. And again, as I talked about in the instruction, with the range test, the closer you are to the HQ, the better your chances are of undisrupting your units. So this also means that if you ever are lucky enough to actually spot an enemy HQ, hammer it with everything you absolutely got. Let's see. We might actually. I know I just said don't clear minefields for no reason, but in this case, it actually gives us another possible hex to assault from, if necessary. I mean, right now these guys actually they took the hex, but they're still locked down from Sun's control here, and here, and here. So they're not going to get anywhere on their own. So in the north, initial plan would be to send the 140th Tank Brigade along with one regiment of the 387th towards this victory point up here. The Guards Armored Brigade with another regiment of infantry from this division to swing south and take this one here. Now it's important to note that I don't actually have eyes on any of the objectives as yet, none of them. So it's a reasonable assumption to say that there are probably Duggan infantry in the victory point hexes also, so that we also need to remove. And we only have 5 turns after this one, so time is absolutely of the essence. But let's start with getting rid of these guys. So first, get them out of travel mode and disrupted. Of course they did. So we could send armor in alone, but that's a very bad idea. Simply because there's a combined arms penalty. Unless you have 10 men for every tank you send in or more, you suffer 50% in decrease in the attack values. Short version, unsupported armor doesn't really work. So 384 together with this company here of T-34s should be more than enough. And I don't know if you actually noticed that there was on the pop-up. I'm sorry, I've played these games so many times that I've been in the habit of just moving on. But it said organization penalties. This is because we are using units in one assault from 2 different formations. We are using them from the infantry division, the 387th, plus we're using them for the 33rd Guards Tank Brigade. And there's a 20% decrease in combat power, when you use two different formations to illustrate the difficulties there are between two formations having to coordinate the attack. So the short version is, unless the units you add to an attack give you more than the 20% you lose, don't bother adding them in the first place. Just have two assaults instead of one. But in this case, it's worth the trouble. So they got moved out, which is no surprise. And they are actually broken. Broken simply means that it's a disrupted unit with max fatigue that fails another morale check. They go into broken. All they have to do, all they actually can do, is just get the hell away and get some of the fatigue off and try to rally again. They are absolutely combat ineffective. The sappers, there are not a whole lot of them though. So let's get some. And of course our motorized rifle battalions, our shock forces, will need to move up as well. They can't move closer just yet. Hang on. Come on. Thank you. Right. Next, these guys. Again, out of trail mode first. Do we add these? Nah, assault 6, not worth it. So they'll go at it alone. Move them out. And these guys move in. Now, the reason why I'm taking this hex, even though it's not actually on the path to the victory point, but it does exert a zone of control into these guys. So if this guy, for some reason, should decide to leave his bunker and try to reinforce it, he'll have to go the long way around. So it's simply a question of trying to dominate the position. Let's see, where can they reach? They can get up here. We'll throw in some armor with them, just in case. And again, check if everybody can see the hex you're moving your headquarters into. Next division. And that should more or less be it. Actually, the KVs can assault directly. They've got a fairly decent chance, so let's just see if we can't kill these AT guns right away. Goody. Which means, yeah, as I thought, there's another infantry company we'll have to remove first. But things are good. I mean, we can assault directly into this hex and get another option for our assault on the victory point. I mean, if the AI was smart, he'd move this guy out in his turn, because then I can't move from enemy zone control to enemy zone control, and that would mean I only have this one. I mean, he probably won't, because the AI is the AI and is kind of dumb, but that's what he should do. These guys can actually fire. Do we want to? Soft attack 4, nah, not worth it. Which is the reason it's not worth it is if I fire on either of these two, I'll draw a reaction fire, and that might break my my engineers. But that should be it. And we'll see what the Germans do, and then we'll do turn 5 right away. And now they've released the two other rival divisions. We won't be needing them, but it is what it is. So they can actually move, but if we look how far they can, if you put them into travel mode, they can get to here. So that's 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns maybe here, and then 4 turns. And then by then we're at turn 8. They won't even get into assaulting range if I start to moving them. So I'm not even gonna bother. But we did see some broken units. One of them was over here. He retreated out of the way, and the other guy was the final company that had been hanging on for a while now, but simply couldn't face all that firepower. So now that they're gone, the path should be more or less clear. But again, always check disruptions. Anybody we need to move out. Engineers, they're not going to come back. The reason they're not going to come back anytime soon is because they're directly attached to the southern front, and the southern front HQ is all the way up here. So while they are within nominal range, the odds of passing the range test in the first place isn't all that hard, which is the disadvantage of using core troops. But hey ho, you can't win them all. So let's just get him out of the line of fire, and we can replace him with something else afterwards. So again, plan is continuing. I mean, we might have a problem in the south. I'm not sure we have enough 5 turns to gain 5 hexes. That's we'll see. But the good news is we should be able to take these two. That's 200 points. And we look at the victory, we are down to minus 46. So we are, if we take those 2 victory hexes, the losses stay as they are, we can just barely scrape by to get a minor victory. So things are, if not according to plan, then at least somewhere in the vicinity of a plan. But again, as I said, the AI is being derpy. Now this guy is suddenly available for assault. So these guys can get in there, which wouldn't have been the case if he'd simply moved them out. But okay, the AI is the AI, and yeah, that's it. So again, checking the north, what are our most important targets? These guys don't really matter. I mean, they are annoying, but they can't. We can still get through the. We can still get through this way. So while they are annoying, they are not an immediate threat. Neither are these guys. I actually know there's probably infantry company in there as well. Yep, there is. But again, as long as we can take these two, if we can get into these 2 hexes, and we can because we've got open ground behind with no zones of control. So as soon as that artillery battery is has been cleared, we've got 1, 2, possibly 3 hexes we can attack from. It all depends on whether we can remove these guys. These guys will need some reinforcements. They can't do it alone. But apart from that, it's looking good in the north. Let's see what we can do further. So these 2, this one in the objective is right now of the utmost importance. This one is as well, theoretically, but we can't get anywhere near in this turn. So these guys have a higher priority to artillery. In the south, let's see, he's disrupted, which means the only undisrupted in the path of advance is this guy, so let's see what we can do about him. And again, don't spread your firepower out. Figure out where the most important targets are, and then just hammer and hammer and hammer away. If you try to spread it out across all the front lines, the odds are you're not going to break any of them, and you've just simply wasted firepower. Yes, you've inflicted some losses, but losses aren't numerical losses aren't as important as disruptions and concentrations of force. Can they attack? No, they can't assault. Okay, so away you go. And what's up here? There's another infantry company. How annoying. Let's see, have we got any engineers nearby? We do. But they can't reach. Okay. Granted, they are not disrupted, but it's 2 infantry battalions. Okay, they can't assault anyway. Never mind. We're just gonna fire at them instead. But since we've gotten rid of these 2 defensive positions, we don't need to take this one anymore, which means that the mine clearing over here is pointless. So we'll move him in and get him up to the front line. And of course, we'll disrupt a couple of guys in the process, but hey ho. And again, move disrupted units as close to the headquarters as you possibly can. The just by moving it movement doesn't affect your chances of undisrupting. So there's no point in letting him sit still. We don't need the anti-tank guns, and we don't need the anti-aircraft artillery. So that was the south. Let's see what we can do in the north. 2 infantry battalions, so we can throw in some engineers as well, perhaps. They should be able to do it alone. Yep, they're good. So can we get rid of these guys? Maybe, maybe not. And of course, since the AI left the door open, we are going to take it. And just move the rest of the units up. That. And these guys won't matter. Oh, let's see what the Germans do, and then we'll end this episode. Yeah, nothing earth-shattering. I did see a couple of disruptions here and there that might slow the assault down a little bit, but we got plenty of troops coming up in the second wave, so this shouldn't be a problem. But we will find out in the next episode.